You're listening to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Thomas Wong, business mentor, author, and founder of the Cocoon VIP membership, empowering women around the world to build businesses on their terms. If you want to grow and scale a business that works in harmony with your family and your life, this podcast is for you. Hello and welcome to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Thomas Wong, and today I'm speaking to Faye Strange, Pinterest strategist and social media expert. Faye helps brands achieve more quality traffic signups and sales by having an organic presence on Pinterest. She shares her tips with us and explains why so many small business owners are missing a trick by not being on Pinterest. And we also talk about why she started her own business and how she's managed to carve flexibility around family life. Hello, Faye. Thanks so much for coming on the Life Friendly Business Podcast.
Hello, nice to be here.
So let's dive straight in and talk about, well, actually, what did you do before you ran your own business and why did you decide to start your own business?
Okay, wow. So if I hark back to right before, I used to be a teacher. I used to be an art and design teacher, which, I did love doing that. But after a few years, I just started not to enjoy it. And then I transitioned to another role at a charity where I was working in the education department. And it was within that role that I started working on social media. So I managed the social media for the education department and communicating with parents and schools. And I just really, really loved that aspect of the job. And then I got pregnant, and I've always had it in my mind that I wanted to be at home when the boys were little, when the kids were little. Obviously I didn't know it was going to be a boy back then, but I always had that kind of romantic idea in my head. So I just thought like, oh well, maybe, and this was back in 2013. I thought, oh, maybe it might be a good idea to set up a social media business or something if I don't go back to work. And I thought like it was like a really novel idea at the time for me. And then once I started looking into it, like I realized, oh look, there's actually lots of other people doing this as well. But yeah, that's kind of how the idea came around, really. Yeah.
I really relate to that, not realizing that there are lots of other people doing this, because you're not aware until you start looking into it, and then it's like this hidden world of that kind of opportunity that opens up, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I also had that romantic view of because I was working in TV then, and I wanted to take a year off on maternity leave, and I thought I would just be gazing in my baby's eyes every day and just loving being the two of us, and it would be amazing. And the reality was quite different.
No one tells you what the reality is like really going to be like. I don't know if it's different now, but I kind of got all my ideas of what motherhood would be like from like films and soaps, and then actually your children aren't upstairs in the bedroom the whole time, they're downstairs in your space.
Well, yes, and I read all the books of how to create a schedule and how to get them to sleep through the night, and very quickly learned that there's not really a one size fits all approach, even though that's the impression that the books gave me. Which then made me feel very much like a failure, because it was like, why isn't it working for me?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and my children were quite difficult as babies as well, and I had that whole, well, this isn't what the book says, this isn't what my friends are experiencing. So it was quite overwhelming when they were very little. Yeah.
And at what point, how old was your I'm assuming it's your first child when you decided that you were going to start your own business?
Gosh, I'm trying to think back to when. I don't think I started it until my second, because what happened was I applied to go back like with flexible working, and then that was kind of like denied. So we decided to just have the second child straight away to kind of get it all, done. So I got pregnant again, and I took voluntary redundancy at that time. And then it was when my second child, because there was only like 17 months between the two of them. So when he was starting preschool and getting his 3 hours, I think he was about 3. Yeah, that's when I started the business. That was in 2018.
Yeah, the cost of childcare is really hard, isn't it? That's a massive barrier to starting your own business. But
Yeah,
when they get to that age 3 and you get some free hours, it makes a huge
yeah,
impact. Yeah.
exactly. Because I did go for like a couple of interviews for jobs, but I just like I couldn't see how it was going to work. Dropping them off at preschool or school and then having to get to work to start the day. I just couldn't figure it out in my head, and it kind of wasn't that romantic idea that I had in my head that I would be home. And I just thought, like, I had that idea for that business still at the back of my head, and I just thought, well, I might as well just try it, and if it doesn't work, we've not really lost anything. Yeah, and I'm just so pleased that I did. That was definitely the right decision.
So just explain what you do and kind of how your business works.
Yeah, so I'm a social media manager, and I'm also a Pinterest expert as well. So I can completely, take control of social media for my clients, so they don't have to worry about it. We'll have like content planning sessions in advance, and then I'll go away, gather the content, create the content, and get it all scheduled and ready to go out on their feeds. And likewise, the same for Pinterest. And I do like Pinterest training for business owners who just want to do it themselves, and also for other VAs and social media managers who perhaps have that knowledge gap for Pinterest. So yeah, it's quite varied sometimes what I do, but I really love it, and it allows me to be creative as well, because my background is quite creative. So yeah, I just can't believe how lucky I am, really, every day to be doing something that I love. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And I think one thing that would come to mind for a lot of people, especially small business owners who are doing their own social media, is
Yeah.
how on earth do you switch off, because it's just constant. So what have you had to do in the way that you've designed your business to make sure that it is life friendly?
Yeah, so I always try to kind of have a system in place. So like working in advance, especially. So always trying to work 2 weeks in advance, plan the content, get it ready, scheduled, approved, and then it goes out, because like I know how tempting it can be to create a piece of content and you want to put it out there straight away. And but there's a lot of benefits to just sitting on it for a while, get it ready, prepared, pop it in your scheduler. um it will still go out, but you need to be a bit more in control of the situation. So I always try to have those processes in place, and I have a VA who helps me as well with the scheduling now. So it's all like a really nice process. And then if you're a business owner and you're doing that yourself, you just got to try and draw a line under like 8 o'clock. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm going to do my scheduling on a Friday, or my content creation on a Friday. Yeah, and it can be so difficult, though. I completely understand how hard it is to put your phone down.
I really resonate with the creating a piece of content and wanting to share it straight
Mm,
away, because I think I need help with that, because I have lots of stuff scheduled with the view to, oh phew, it's all scheduled, I know the stuff going out, and then I get really excited about something and post, and then it overlaps with
yeah,
all the other stuff going out. So yes,
yeah,
I can see the need to be a bit more measured with that. So
yeah.
have you found that in order to kind of keep the hours that you want to work around family life and stuff, have you had to make any difficult decisions about like scaling your business, for example?
Yeah, so I'm at the fortunate position now where I feel like, I can turn work down if I don't feel like it's a good fit. Um, yeah, because obviously at the beginning it's tempting to say yes to everything that comes along, even though, it means that you might be a little bit stretched. So at the moment, like if I know something isn't quite right for me, I'll recommend somebody else who who it would suit, because I've got quite a few people in my network now who I can refer work to. Um and yeah, it's just realizing that and trying to maintain that balance. And since my I've had my VA helping me, it's just helped so much. Yeah.
And flexibility is one of the things that we strive for, isn't it, with running our own business.
Yeah.
And I've got here in the notes that your mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So how
Yes.
did you manage that?
Yeah, that was so difficult. That was 2019, and because she was my biggest fan, like at the start, and she was always kind of rooting for me, and she was like really invested. So it was so difficult. But I was just so thankful that I could, have the time to just drop stuff and go and see her. I mean, it meant like evening working and juggling and all of that. But yeah, it just really helped to have like that life friendly business, especially at that time. And you know, and I kept saying, we kept saying, like, it just felt like one obstacle after another, and then obviously the pandemic came, so then obviously it's trying to fit everything around that as well. But yeah.
I think that, yeah, that having to constantly adapt is
Yeah.
something that the last couple of years has been so hard. So
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do to look after your own well-being and your own mental health?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm definitely a lot more mindful of that now. I have like a positivity journal that I try to write in every day. I've actually just started doing that with my kids as well, which is like a nice activity. Yeah, and I have recently just started like Slimming World because that's all part of my well-being and stuff as well. And having that time out every week to kind of just focus on that has been really great. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's always more that like we could be doing. But yeah, I do have plans for the rest of the year for things that I want to do, and just it's just kind of being aware of that, really.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you've got a VA that helps you.
Mm,
And
yeah.
in terms of other support, for you with your business, you took part in the Evolve Mastermind.
Yeah.
And I know that you were saying that you found the accountability really helpful.
Mm. Yes, so having that call every week was, yeah, it was so great just to know that, I had to turn up and have something to show for the week. Yeah, the support from Evolve and the whole mastermind was amazing. Yeah, and I mean, I am looking forward to doing it again sometime. Yeah, and from that, one of the other participants in the group, we've kind of set up a little accountability buddy system on Trello where we check in with each other on a Monday and a Friday. We got our little to-do lists on Trello, and yeah, so that really helps because I don't want to feel like I'm kind of letting her down. So yeah, that's been like really nice way to start the year off.
I think, yeah, and that's brilliant. And surrounding yourself with the kind of people that can support you, and it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, and so, what would you say when it comes to how successful you feel? Like, how do you measure your success?
Gosh. So yeah, I do tie money to success, but also I've realized it's not just about money, it's about, having that life balance and being able to be there for my kids, taking them to school, picking them up every day. Um, just being able to go to like a doctor's appointment or something if I need to without having to ask permission. Because I'm quite a shy person, and I don't like confrontation or all of that, and just to have that freedom is brilliant for me. And I'm a real homebody as well. I'm a typical Cancer. I just love being at home, and so just to be able to work from home, it's all like success, isn't it? So yeah.
And you mentioned being shy there.
Yeah.
What I'm interested to know as well is how you find the whole visibility aspect of putting yourself out there. Because obviously you're doing social media for people,
Mm.
and you've got so much as well. And I'd love you to share some tips with us as well about Pinterest, because I believe from when we've spoken before, it's so underused for small business owners as well. Like, how have you found putting yourself out there in the spotlight?
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult. I still haven't done like oh well, no, I have done I did have a Facebook group a couple of years ago, and I did do some lives in that, but no, I've never really been live. I don't so much have a problem talking on camera anymore. I'm a bit more used to that, but it used to take me like the whole afternoon maybe to film something, then I'd refilm it, and then I'd refilm it again, and I would waste so much time just doing that, making sure it was just right. But I feel like I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I mean, it's taken a long time to kind of get to that point. But I think as well, the more you see yourself talking, and especially I think, when you're Zooming all the time, you're always looking at yourself, aren't you? You kind of get used to it a bit more, maybe. Um, so yeah, I mean, all I can say is just do it like you're the only person who's really looking at you critically. Nobody else is. And, I can't remember who said this to me, but when you're talking, nobody's looking at you or watching you. They're just listening to what you're saying and how they can apply that to their own business. They're not, you know, judging you. They're always thinking about like the advice that you're giving, how they can use that themselves. So try not to get too hung up on that.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think, the things that we think people might be thinking are never as bad as what people are thinking. And I love the saying as well that people are way too busy thinking about themselves to really be thinking about you for very long.
Yeah.
And with that, with the live video and stuff, I think it is like, it's just keep doing it, just keep practicing. And we do a Facebook Live challenge in the Cocoon. And even after a few days of doing it every day, you get much more relaxed with like just talking casually, because like we all know when you're watching videos yourself, like you're probably drawn to the people that are just, they look really relaxed, they're just kind of like, it's coming easy to them, like we enjoy watching that, so therefore we need to try and emulate that ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about why we should be looking at Pinterest if we're as business owners, if we're not already.
Yeah, so Pinterest, it's just completely different to any other social media platform. In fact, it isn't a social media platform, it's a search engine. So once you put your content onto Pinterest and it's all optimized properly, it has the opportunity to be found again and again by, the people who are searching for it specifically. So it's just such a great way to reach your target audience, kind of just like on autopilot. You put your pin out there once, it's there forever until you decide to delete it. And if you're using keywords in there, so those are words that people might be searching for instance, I don't know, let's say you are a parenting expert, and you've got a blog about sleeping tips. If you do a little search on Pinterest for sleeping tips, you'll see like the words that people use the most on Pinterest. And if you use those words in your pins, then when people are searching for sleeping tips, your pins will just start to be shown to them. And it's all about being consistent, showing, it's the same on all the platforms, isn't it? You've got to be consistent, you've got to show up. You can't just dump a load of your pins and go away for 12 months and then come back again. You kind of do need to commit to it for a while, and it can be a slow burn, but it's totally worth it, because in 6 months or 8 months down the line, you'll start to get all these little notifications saying so and so's repinned your pin, or somebody loves your pin, and and it just snowballs.
So there might be people listening now who are thinking, yeah, no, I don't think it's right for my business. Can you just list off like the types of businesses that you've worked with, or that you know it works well for, just to give people an idea of the variety of businesses that could be using it?
Yeah, well, it's such a myth that Pinterest is just for, DIY ideas or recipes. It's actually for any type of business, because it's such a powerful visual search engine, and people, if they're starting a project or they're planning something, they will go to Pinterest first, even over Google, to create their boards with all of their initial ideas. And if you can get in that initial idea space for that person, then they're going to remember you, they're going to come back to you, and they're going to revisit those ideas. So yeah, in terms of types of business, service-based businesses can do brilliantly on Pinterest, and product businesses as well. But I know a lot of people think, oh, I don't have a product to sell, then Pinterest isn't for me. But it's completely untrue. Even if you're a blogger, you can get your blogs, your pins linking to your blogs, and people just need to click the pin and they can get sent straight to your blog. So yeah, I'd say if you've got a business that relies on footfall through the door, then Pinterest probably isn't worth your time. But if you've got, if you can serve the whole of the UK, or even better, worldwide, then yeah, definitely Pinterest might be worth looking at.
Thank you. That's really interesting. And yeah, Pinterest is the one platform that I'm not on. And I do always think, I wonder how that would work for my business. So it's really interesting. And it sounds like, for the kind of people who find the constant noise of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, where there's a lot of people that are just getting more and more turned off by that. It sounds like Pinterest might be a good option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, I've talked to a few business owners who have said the same to me. They don't want to be on Facebook or Instagram anymore. They don't agree with the platform. So they want to move on to Pinterest. And, Pinterest is a real positive platform as well. There's, your feed is kind of curated for things that you've searched for in the past. And there's no chance of you seeing anything that's doom and gloom. And it's just a really uplifting, inspiring place, because it's a place to share ideas and inspiration and solutions to problems. And what I also really love about it as well is that there's this thing called the creator code that everybody has to sign before you upload an idea pin, which is this brand new format of pins. And so it's just like a little contract between you and Pinterest that you're not going to share anything that's going to upset people or that violates certain rules. And it's just a whole other vibe on Pinterest.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, you can tell that you're passionate about it, and yeah, that's great. So what's coming up for you next in terms of like how you help people and the different things that you offer?
Yeah, so my main offerings are the management aspect, but I also offer Pinterest strategies and Pinterest training sessions, and I have also just started doing Pinterest templates. So Pinterest to Instagram templates, so you can easily start adding Pinterest onto your content schedule. So I'm really excited about those. So that's kind of me. I'm going to be working on a course in the future to help people set up their profile. I'm hoping to have that in the next couple of months.
That sounds great. And the templates, especially, I just think they're so popular at the moment, aren't they? Because anything that we can do where we're going to save time and, and have a format for doing it right is just invaluable for small business owners as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where can people find you?
So my web address is www.strangesocial.com. It's called Strange Social because my name is Faye Strange. So everything's on my website. And if anybody's got any questions, they can just send me an email or find me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. Or Pinterest, of course.
Fantastic. And so one final question, if you could go back and speak to yourself when you were at that very early stage of thinking, right, I think I'm going to do it on my own, I'm going to start my own business, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh gosh, I would probably say just take it slowly, because back then I didn't know all the obstacles that I was going to have to deal with in my personal life. And I think I spent too much time working evenings at the start and every spare minute. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? I think you have to go through that to realize that actually you don't need to do that. So that's what I would say. Just take it slowly and don't put so much pressure on myself.
It's absolutely a marathon, not a sprint, isn't it? Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Faye. Great to talk to you.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Honestly, it can feel like there is a lot you need to learn when building a thriving business. And it's easy to feel like you'll never know everything you need to be successful. But it is possible, just so long as you stay focused on building the right knowledge and skills. When you join the Cocoon VIP membership, you'll have the opportunity to book a one-to-one orientation call with me, and I'll help you to prioritise the activities that will have the biggest impact on your business and direct you to the materials in the library that you need. There's no need to learn it all. We'll just focus on the things that will make the biggest difference to you. We have everything you need to build a life-friendly business. So check out the Cocoon now at lifefriendlybusiness.com/cocoon.